sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What in the hell? Sorry, sinners and saints. I just took a long look at my face in the mirror. These eye bags. I swear to God, I can't even call them eye bags anymore. They're a whole set of luggage. Fuck. It really does suck being unattractive. I know people think that I'm too hard on myself for saying things like that, but when it's the truth, you might as well just accept it and move on. I mean, just weird things. It's like, why does hair grow in the places it grows? I mean, literally, Stephen had to pluck a hair off my eyelid.
Wait, what?
Let me repeat that. A hair off my eyelid.
Oh my God.
It really does fucking blow in a negative way how cruel nature is to us not so attractive guys. I would love to know what it's like being a hunk once in my life. I know that's not possible, but it would be nice to have an opportunity to be the object of everyone's lust, if you know what I mean. It really does feel like some sort of curse on ugly guys, like the hair thing, like bad toenails, or horrible fingernails, or bad breath, or, well, just anything that happens to any guy. We, meaning me, I could say this must only happen to ugly guys. You know, even though bad breath, bad toenails, all those things happen to everybody. But it just feels a lot heavier on those of us who are unattractive. And when I say that, once again, I'm speaking for myself. There was this really cute guy, and I mean, really hot. And I was surprised that night that he took an interest in me, and it was more than just conversation. He wanted to have sex, and I was willing to have sex too, you know. Woohoo, finally. We start getting ready, you know, the foreplay's getting hot and heavy. The clothes start coming off. And when the underwear comes down, oh, that's the reason. Yeah, he was not so well endowed. In fact, he was probably the smallest I've ever seen. Now, I'm not trying to shame someone for having a small penis. I don't care about that really much anyway. But it almost felt like a relief that my brain said, oh, you're not so perfect after all. That's terrible, isn't it? I am a total asshole for even thinking that in my mind. Oh, we had a great night. It was fun, orgasms galore, etc. But it sort of leveled the playing field in my brain. It's like, if someone finds me attractive, there's got to be something wrong with them. What's wrong in their mind? Are they really looking at the real me? Maybe they're looking at me through vodka-colored glasses, or maybe they're high on heroin or something. I guess we're always looking for an angle, a reason to try to come to terms with why this person would be hot for me. And I've mentioned it before that sometimes I felt like I was just a last resort. I mean, I've always thought of myself as a moped. Oh, what do I mean by moped? Mopeds are fun, but you don't want your friends to see you riding one. Get it now? Oh, Jesus, sinners, saints, bitches, whores, sluts, skanks, pole smokers, butt lickers. I'm sorry, I don't want to bring everybody down. I am in a really good mood. I hope you are too. It's surprising that I'm in a good mood, but I am. There's not much to be in a good mood about. But, you know, what can I say? I'm living the dream. But don't you all ever have those moments where you do feel like you're not good enough, that you're not attractive enough, that you feel even less than adequate? Do you ever get really like butterflies and things in your stomach when a really attractive person sits beside you or comes close to you or smiles at you? It can be kind of intimidating, can't it? Which sucks. That should never be intimidating. There's an old saying, beauty's only skin deep. And what that really means is that there's more to a person than what's on the outside. Of course, it's the outside that we're all looking at. I think you all will agree that some of the biggest assholes you've ever met were really attractive people, right? Me too. But it's always a good thing to remember that no matter how attractive, everyone has their flaws, their faults, their weaknesses. They have their insecurities. They view something about themselves as less than perfect as well. It's always surprising to me, and you all know, I think that Henry Cavill is probably the most beautiful man on the face of the earth, but not everybody finds him attractive. That's the joy of being individuals, that we all have unique and different tastes. That's a good thing. I know some people that you all find attractive that I wouldn't even bother to throw up on. I mean, let's face it, we are really superficial, aren't we? We really do take more stock into the physical appearance than other attributes a person might have. It's sort of like human nature, isn't it? And if we are judging on that level, I can remember this guy was really, really attractive. And he was at a pool party. I had never seen him without shoes on. And my God, his feet looked like the talons of a vulture. God, they were so gnarled and gnarly. It was repulsive. The thought of being in bed with him and those claws touching my butt. God, it was so gross. So that one attribute of that hot guy was enough to turn me totally off. We could still be friends, but I didn't want to come within 50 feet of those claws. And I do think that that's where my confidence comes from. I go into a situation knowing that while I might not see it, this person I'm talking to has physical liabilities, if I can use that word. They have something about themselves that they're insecure about that makes them less than perfect. And as always, remember, we all have things that come up short when it comes to beauty and attractiveness. That's where your confidence should come from. It should come from that knowledge that nobody's perfect. Physically, mentally, maturity-wise, any way you can think of. There's no such thing as perfection, with the exception of Henry Cavill. Sorry, I had to sneak that in. I think a good example is the length of someone's hair. I know a lot of the girls and a lot of gay men go crazy for men who have long hair. I am not really attracted to that. The best example I can give is one of my favorite porn stars, Diego Sands. That man is absolutely beautiful, but he lets his hair grow long sometimes, and I still find the man attractive, but not as attractive when his hair is cut short. It's just my thing. That's not even about a physical weakness. It's just a matter of my actual preference. I like men with shorter hair. Can't help it. It's just how I'm built. Potato, tomato, hair, hairless, hair lip. I don't know. Jesus help me. I need a drink. Let me clarify something. With long hair or short hair, I am not kicking Diego Sands out of my bed. All right? I would just prefer him to have short hair. A fact. Use it as you wish. I guess with saying all that I've said so far, it's just a way for me to explain to all of you how we shouldn't always blame ourselves if a potential hookup doesn't happen. If you're like me, you always blame something about yourself. That, oh, I might have a nose hair sticking out. Maybe my ears are too big, or I'm just not attractive at all to this person. We always blame ourselves for things going wrong, and we automatically assume there must be something wrong with us, when it could be just a matter of chemistry or a lack of physical attractiveness. Like I just said, there are some people who don't find Henry Cavill attractive. I find that shocking and horrifying. But I do wonder if Henry Cavill was to approach you in a club and say, "You want to suck my dick?" I don't think any one of you boys that I know would turn him down. Now, would you?
No, no, no!
But let me ask you this. If it's a really nice guy, you get along, you have chemistry, but you're not completely physically attracted to him, could you do it with him? Would you do it with him? I know a couple of guys that would say, well, I would be the top. I'd let them suck me off. I might even fuck them. And I think, is that how we draw the line? I suppose so. I guess it makes it a little bit unique for gay men, doesn't it? You could choose one of those options. You could say, well, I want to get my rocks off and he's good enough. Won't do much good for your partner's self-esteem, now would it, if they knew that's how you really felt? And I wonder how many times is it that it's about what other people think? Like someone you know sees you chatting with this guy who may not be as attractive as some people, but he's really friendly, funny, has great personality, and you're just afraid of what people might say about you if they saw you leaving with him. Something to think about, isn't it? But you can't really deny your true feelings either. If you're not attracted to somebody, you're not attracted to them. Period. I mean, and that should be the line right there. If I'm not attracted to you, I'm not going to want to fool around with you, hook up with you, whatever you want to call it. And it shouldn't be a matter of looking for a fault in yourself if I were to say, no, I don't want to fool around with you. I don't want to sleep in bed with you. I don't sleep with people. It's hard for someone who's been single as long as I have to think, just to think about sharing a bed. Oh my God. I have it all to myself. I have all my bad habits and everything to myself. I don't have to worry about bothering someone else trying to sleep. Oh my God. One of my last boyfriends, well, two of my boyfriends overall, were some of the heaviest snorers I have ever experienced in my life. My God and baby Jesus help us. I mean, I spent half the nights trying to roll them over, turn them away from me so I could get at least an hour or two of sleep. I mean, the type of snoring that can rattle the windows, okay? It was tough. Me being single now, I don't worry about that kind of thing. I think I've woke myself up a couple of times snoring, but that was always when I was sick. Just there's so many conveniences to being single. You're not always having to worry about if you're bothering your partner, if you're aggravating them, if they're aggravating you. But what I'm getting at is that if you're trying to hook up with a guy and they just turn you down or walk away, I just don't think we should take it personally, even though it does hurt personally. It does kick your self-esteem right in the balls. It really bothers all of us. I know it does. But when you get down to just the basic primal experience of being human, it really isn't that out of the ordinary. And let's all be honest, we have walked away from someone who wanted to pick us up, haven't we? Hell's bells, I have snuck out of the bar before to avoid somebody. But is that grounds for eternal hate of that person or for me or for anybody? I don't think so. I think you just dust yourself off, and go, well, okay, I fell off the horse. I'll get back on again and let's just try somebody else if I'm really in that mood. Damn, Alan, that's enough about being ugly for 1 week, at least. But I do have to wonder, if I was a very attractive guy in high school, would I have been more likely to attempt hooking up with other guys? I know that's water under the bridge at this point, but it might have been a way to prove my theory that people that are very attractive get away with more. And I wonder, would the community be more accepting of a gay guy if he was the most attractive guy in town? Now, some people, there's no reaching them. They're always going to be bigots, anti-gay. But in general, I have to wonder, because I've always felt like beautiful people get away with a whole lot more than the average looking person does. That may sound silly and stupid, but, take it for what it's worth. I have to wonder, though, if I had been the most attractive guy in high school, would I have taken the chance to try to hook up with another guy? That sense of being invulnerable to the hatred of other people just because I was attractive. I mean, it makes you wonder. Well, at least it makes me wonder. I can't speak for everybody else. And if I was the best looking guy in high school, I would have definitely pursued a couple of the guys in school. Now, I'll remind everybody that I changed the names of people to protect the innocent, the guilty, and the satisfied. It always strikes me as interesting that I noticed the guys that played with themselves, adjusted their dicks through their jeans. I always noticed guys touching themselves. And I was always attracted to almost every single one of them. And I always wondered, why did they do that? Why were they always touching their junk in front of other people when not every guy does that? I mean, I have a theory that a lot of the guys who touch themselves, rearrange their dicks and stuff, are guys who have smaller endowments. It moves around a lot more the smaller it is. Guys with big schlongs never seem to touch that region. Isn't it something to think about, though? And I often wondered, guys who touch themselves like that, were they giving off a hint? Luckily for me, I never did hit on a guy who was playing with themselves. Now, if I'd walked in the locker room and I walked by and they're standing there and they're jacking off looking at me, I probably would have done something. Maybe. I don't know. But could that have been a hint that they were giving to people, wanting to see if people noticed and looking for signs of guys noticing? I don't know. Jesus, help me. No, it probably wasn't. They just didn't have any qualms about rearranging their dicks when it was falling out of their underwear in front of people. So I guess I know I'm reading too much into that. That's me. And we've all had problems, right? Men, we've all had issues with the junk moving into the most uncomfortable position where you have to either fix it or run to the men's room and rearrange everything down there so that it feels comfortable again. God, it can be a pain when it's not in the right place. Don't you agree? But Mike Mason comes to mind when I think about guys who might have been dropping a hint when they were touching themselves. He was a basketball player and a baseball player. And, I think for a couple of years, he also played football. He was over 6 feet tall, had a hairy chest. You could see it peeking above his shirt, T-shirts, etc. He was a sandy, brownish hair color that had sort of a slight natural wave to it, but he kept it cut short. He had this really husky voice, too, and he was very fit. His hand was on his junk all the time. He was the one, if you remember, he came into class late one afternoon after basketball practice. He was still wearing his basketball workout clothes, a tank top and shorts. And the way the room was set up, part of the class was on one side facing our way, and we were on the other side facing their way. And he was in a position, he was like the person in the back of the row. He would always sit with the widest man spread he could. And a lot of times, one foot would be resting on the side of the other. But this one day, he was in some kind of mood. And I was in the perfect spot. I could always look straight toward him and look right between his legs. And this day, he, for whatever reason, slid his hand down between his legs and he pulled up the leg of his shorts, exposing his jockstrap. Now, you all tell me, was that just to be spiteful, or was he dropping me or somebody else a hint? I was very good at not being so obvious at staring at somebody when they were doing something like that, if that makes any sense. But I was a very naive kid back in the day, and that includes in high school. I wasn't always in tune with what people were hinting. I was afraid to. It was such a scary time to be gay. You had to survive by being in the closet. It just wasn't a good thing to do coming out. If you did, you risked everything. You risked losing your family, being kicked out on the street. And what would you do as a high schooler with no means of support, living at home, trying to get your high school diploma, and your parents find out you're gay and they throw you out of the house? What are you supposed to do? It would turn your life upside down. So a lot of us would stay in the closet. You bide your time for survival purposes. It's not some sort of betrayal to the gay world by staying in the closet. It's a very personal thing, and you should do it only when you're ready to do it. And on your terms, absolutely. No matter what anybody else says, it is your right to decide when, where, and how you do it. I guess my naivety really protected me, didn't it? I'm always suspicious of people anyway. What if a guy was trying to trick me into revealing myself? And then they use that against me to either blackmail me somehow or out me and destroy my life. I promise you, the church here in the South, they are ruthless when it comes to gay people. 95% of them are. They are just vindictive assholes who will just deem you as the Antichrist and say you're condemned to hell and would applaud parents for throwing a child out if they didn't send them to some sort of conversion therapy camp, which is very, very possible. That's some bullshit right there. A conversion therapy camp. Lord of mercy. Like that really would convert anybody. It's fucking torture is what that is. I mean, I've always wondered, what if we could turn the tables? What if you were heterosexual and that was not the norm, and your parents said you need to go to homosexual conversion camp? You have to be converted into a gay person. How would you feel? You know you're not gay. You know you're hetero. You know you fancy the puss and the tits. But here are these people saying that you're absolutely wrong, you're against God, and we have to make you better. You would be like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. Because it's the opposite of who you really are. All we're asking as the gay community is to treat us the same way you want to be treated. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Whew, what a day it's been, hasn't it? I can't believe we're once again at the very end of another episode of Alan After Dark. But I've had a lot of fun. I hope you've had some good times too. And I hope you'll come back and join me next week for another wild, crazy time. But before then, just remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.